All right, we are live. Welcome in anybody that's joining here. We're gonna give everybody a few seconds to join, and then we will get started. Obviously, I'm not in my normal location. Anthony is, so uh, there's also a dog barking over there. So we'll make sure to edit that out when the actual video for this launches. But um, yeah, well, happy Thanksgiving week, everybody. I know some of you guys are off from work or school or whatever you're doing, so hopefully we can dial in, get some stuff done. That we have that slow pace, with everything else. So I don't know if personally I feel like Anthony and I are we've been able to kick some butt here on the stuff we're doing with Altura. I feel like we've been more productive, given everybody else is slowed down a bit because I've been able to get my head clear, and I think that helps a lot. But
Yeah, I'd agree. Just a slower time of the year means more opportunity for us to devote some extra time to the startup. So.
yeah, all right. Well, once again, guys, welcome back to the Ascended podcast. This is episode 35, the AI arms race. I'm your host, Caleb Schilke.
I am Anthony Parra.
Let's get into it. Tonight, we're going to be discussing who really owns your future. So, I want to start out by talking tonight about AI in general. So, we can't really do that unless, first of all, you guys should know what AI is. Artificial intelligence, basically, an autonomous system that has the ability to analyze data. A lot of them are LLMs, so language models that can look for trends and patterns within responses that people have and put data together in a more accurate way. Basically, it's AI is able to say, if I give you X and Y, you should be able to predict that Z comes next. And a lot of times that's very helpful for gathering information together. So just to kind of clarify our terms, we're going to be talking about the biggest tools out there. In 2025, four control 94% of all reasoning on Earth. Pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
Four companies: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Grok. Tonight, we're going to dissect exactly what they're doing with your data, your time, and more importantly, your future. And why basically the everyday entrepreneur is kind of on the risk of being in the collateral damage of this, especially since there's so much the average person, the everyday entrepreneur doesn't know getting into it. So, Anthony, let's start it off. Let's make this discussion based tonight. If the four big AIs, so again, just to repeat them, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Grok is what I have, and I have data on all of those. If those are people at like a poker table, who's kind of the shark of the group, and who's like the little fish? Would you say?
It's got to be ChatGPT on top. That was the first one. I've said this on multiple streams before, actually, but you were the one who put me on to generative AI in general, and that was the first one I knew about. I actually didn't. I I don't know if they were technically the first chronologically, but I didn't know of anybody else. Pretty much for a few months down the line after ChatGPT became mainstream, it kind of seemed to me like everybody else was competing with them at the beginning. Now there's a lot more. Some certain generative AI platforms have like almost their own personality. Like they recommend things and they talk about things in a certain way that's unique to them.
Yeah.
So that's cool now. But originally it was just them. So I'd say that they're the top dog at the poker table. I'm honestly not familiar at all with Claude, but I think I, I know enough about them to to make it. Sorry, excuse me. That my guess for who the smallest would be is probably still Gemini, just because people I feel like nobody's going on to like if you're on Google, you're just going to type the question as is. And maybe they're big now because of the fact that they just incorporate Gemini to the Google search. So it's like
Yeah.
nowadays, now it's not even like you have to go type in Gemini. Um, it's just like you type in a question at all, and Gemini answers it for you in that little paragraph of subtext right underneath your search box. So maybe they're not the bottom, but I would guess either Claude or them.
It's a hard kind of question. Actually, by the way, when you were talking, I just got a notification from ChatGPT on my phone. So it's kind of ironic. I would say, yeah, they're probably the biggest top dog right now. Grok is probably second. They're very close competitors. Grok is obviously Elon Musk's slash X or Twitter's AI that integrates with the platform. Grok is very powerful because it integrates directly with posts and live information that real human beings are talking about. So it has the ability to kind of be integrated. It's kind of like the backseat bro in the car that's listening to everything and can kind of put together information based on that. So yeah, a lot of it's hard too because everything there's a lot of wrapper companies out there. Have you heard of like what a wrapper is for AI?
A rapper like WR
Yeah,
or like
yeah, like a wrapper.
a rapper. No, but I assume that would just using my deductive thinking here. That must mean that it's like something. It's like an AI company that's based on or modeled from ChatGPT, and then they're the rapper, right? They have their own marketing and their own name and stuff around it.
So just think like prompt engineering, right? So ChatGPT is probably still doing most of the work. It's their system, but you are designing specific tasks that ChatGPT will do for you. It's basically kind of like pre-feeding it certain information that when a user, you're giving it context to like you are a personal assistant, you're a fitness trainer, right? A lot of people already use this directly in ChatGPT, but companies will go out there and say, this is all the like patterns, consulting data, fitness topics we want you to just specifically answer or set up. And then when a user puts in their prompt, like the wrapper still powered by ChatGPT will format the answer to be, in a proper way. And people can make money on that, right? Because half of using AI is knowing what questions to ask and what to put into the system to get it to work. So yeah, let's talk about these four horsemen a little more though. A lot of them have issues, and that's what I want to focus on tonight. Using AI blanketly, like just using the internet in general, comes with its risks. Just like the brand new internet, right? Probably not very secure. You don't know who actually has access to your data. There's not a lot of laws and regulation out to determine how safe your personal stuff is when you put it out into a system. You don't know unless you do extensive research who sits on the board of those companies and who also might use that information to take advantage of you in different ways. Every single AI trains is trained by its community and learns from every single prompt unless you pay $200 a month or enterprise whatever packaging to kind of opt out of that stuff or have a little bit more privacy. The 2024 In 2024 there was a data breach that exposed only 1.2% of ChatGPT plus chats, but that's millions and millions of personal conversations leaked out into the world. Things that people, it's like the backroom conversations you would never expect, to be public, and just basically airing people's dirty laundry out. Microsoft, Microsoft is kind of a competitor too. Have you heard of like Copilot and like their stuff, what they've done with their AI too? It's kind of it's all right. It's not really considered in like the top four, but they use your business plans and what you tell it about your company to actually train Copilot and make it a more efficient business helper. So it's actually learning from like honestly almost confidential conversations, but some people don't know that a lot of times they don't read the fine print. Technically, it's right in front of you, but most people aren't reading the fine print to know that they're basically giving an AI insider information about their business. And so it's very you have to be cautious when you're explaining, especially preliminary data and new analysis and trends, because you're giving your power away to massive corporations that can learn from that. So it's not just a search tool. It's also recording basically everything that you're saying to it. And sure, it's using it for training or whatever, but you never really know what's going on behind the scenes. There's also do you know like how ChatGPT has like a memory feature?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically it picks out like key points about like what you talk about and kind of trains itself based on context about your life. So, right, if you say, I have a dog named Snuffy or whatever that's barking in the background there, it'll like log that. So if you reference Snuffy in the future, it's going to know that that's your dog you're talking about. You don't have to keep telling it that over and over. So even if you delete data, and most people don't know this, a snapshot on Claude and Anthropic is still kept for your safety purposes. Like they still keep that data of your history, even if you like click delete on their platform. So it's not actually getting rid of your data, even though it's telling you it's basically doing that. Yeah, and Amazon invested $4 billion, and Google invested $2 billion into a system to link to Amazon Web Services. Do you know what Amazon Web Services is? Just to kind of help everyone else.
No, I assume that's just like its conglomerate of things that that operate under that name, like Kindle or whatever else, or the actual site. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the like backbone that's holding up the internet. A lot of sites on the internet. A lot of sites on the internet wouldn't like function. Their servers are Amazon Web Services. If web services are down, think about it like this. And two, I've learned a lot about servers setting up Altura's website. But if the servers are down and you try to log into a website, you could put an email in, but it's not going to identify that that's a real account because there's nothing. It can't reach the back end to see if you even have an account with that site. So like you need a server online, you need to have a good connection to that through Amazon Web Services to even like let people use your platform to begin with. So basically there's so many massive sites like Netflix, I believe is on Amazon Web Service, all these massive things. So your prompts through specifically like Gemini now are being used to learn and train models within Amazon Web Service too. So just basically this massive data company. So Amazon is collecting too, even though they don't have a specific AI model. That is like a top 4 competitor. All right, so I have a bunch more facts here. We're talking about like EU fines on Google and training on XPost through Grok and things like that, things that we've already known. But I could go all day and talking about some of the issues that have come up. Same like the internet too, right? Everything new and preliminary in technology, it's going to go through that rocky phase where it's kind of all over the place. And eventually, right, when the laws catch up and standards in the industry, it'll eventually kind of settle down to a point where it becomes more reliable. And this is such a new technology. It's like saying that the internet is as secure as possible in 2000, right? It's like there's still so much progression it has. So, yeah, in terms of some of the things I've said, in terms of some of the access that this AI has, well, first of all, did anything I say strike you or was something you weren't aware of, just like the little points, it sticks out to you?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the breach actually. That you said only 1 point something percent of, was it ChatGPT's database?
Yeah, so 1.2% of the like plus users that pay for it, their conversations were leaked. So
Yeah,
uh,
another interesting point. So I don't mean to cut you off, but I also found it interesting that you said Microsoft's AI model learns more. What was it called? It's not
or no, Copilot, the
Copilot. I was
business
gonna
name.
say companion. Copilot. That's crazy because like I assume that's a paid tool, right? So you're paying for them to like conduct market research, basically. Um,
Yep.
like not it's like simultaneously not costing them anything except the cost of developing it, while you're paying them to give them information that makes it better. That's kind of wild.
That's actually a great transition point to what we're gonna go with here, because like most people think, what does ChatGPT cost? If somebody asks you what does it cost, what would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably just say the subscription price, which is like
Yeah,
20.
like 20, $25 a month, right, with tax, all that stuff.
Yeah,
But if you like ChatGPT, right, is basically a personal researcher, personal assistant, right, things like that. You would pay thousands of dollars a month for that. So how is ChatGPT, like, if they could value it so much higher, why aren't they? And it's because they're making money off the things you aren't seeing. They want you to give them your data because they know that that data is more important than you paying them $50 a month. And they'd rather have you using their platform so they know your interests, what you do, who you are, what types of businesses you want to start, what your weaknesses are, what they can target you with ads for. And there's a lot of hidden costs behind the actual use of the platform. I have 7 written down. And I'm going to just read them in order. First is privacy, and I call this the privacy tax. One sentence. Your data is just being sold or leaked. You don't see the backdoor transactions. They technically come out, but they're not being pushed in the news. You don't know who ChatGPT is necessarily partnering with to sell your data off to, that are probably paying an insane amount of money, right? Let's say, for instance, this isn't like real, right? But hypothetically, if ChatGPT took all the conversation data you had and without you realizing it, they sold it to Instagram. And now Instagram can take that data and log it in your profiles in the back end. And now advertisers know to target the exact people that need their product because they're talking about that type of product in their personal conversations. That is very, very valuable data because they know if they put an ad in front of you for the thing you just said you needed, you're almost guaranteed to buy it.
right.
So there's that privacy tax. Second is the economic tax. So you fund the model that will eventually replace you, right? So AI is starting to replace jobs. It's getting faster, more efficient. And you are actually paying for your own downfall. You're paying to make the economy harder. People are getting replaced with efficient systems that don't need sleep, that can operate 24/7, and you are quite literally funding the research to make it happen because you want to, talk about, I don't know, history or something like that you could just research on Google. Number 3 is the attention tax. So prompt engineering is not having proper prompt engineering and asking the wrong questions and not necessarily being trained on how to use AI yet means that you're probably wasting about 40 hours a week. Now, sure, you're probably more efficient than just having Google, but most of us don't know what questions to ask. And so we're more just experimenting with things. And we spend too much time talking through things instead of actually just acting. We try to get our plans perfect in ChatGPT, whatever it is, and it doesn't lead to real world progress. Number 4, alignment tax. So your outputs are optimized for engagement and not truth. A lot of times, right, ChatGPT is giving you things that it thinks will bring on measurable, tangible results because that's how it collects data. But it's not actually telling you like morally or what in line with your religion a lot of times unless you're asking it what the best thing for you truly is, not the truthful thing. It's telling you what's going to get you results because it knows how to measure results. It's a statistic-based model. Number 5, censorship. Political filters, especially if you guys are using Claude or Gemini, they refuse controversial business topics. Now, sure, you guys have seen the videos probably of people asking ChatGPT questions, say butter or whatever, if like you're not allowed to respond, and it says that all the time. So it's obviously being trained to not respond to certain topics, and I'm not going to go into what those are or anything like that, but just know that even though you think you're just getting access to the whole internet, you get more access by going on Google, reading a book, like asking real people for information. You're getting the annotated SparkNote version when you get on ChatGPT. And every time you trade your something for efficiency or ease or convenience, it's usually, not the truth or not having the full information or maybe your privacy. So there's always a cost to that. Number 6 out of 7. Yeah, I know. My bad. Dependency task. So one terms of service change, just one, and your entire workflow dies. Like let's say your business is fitness coaching, right? And you use ChatGPT to help, prompt it. You have certain prompts that will, give it information about how to format a workout plan. And then you just put in the person's information and boom, you're good to go. All of a sudden ChatGPT says, you can't use this to, create official business models or official business plans or something like that. And then it doesn't allow you to get a response to that prompt anymore. If your whole business is dependent on that, one terms of service change and your dependency is going to ruin you basically. So you're basically giving your business up to something you can't control the rules of. Even though right now it seems like it could do anything, right? And a lot of times, right, that's dependent on politics and what the law says. So if a law comes out and AI has to abide by it, then it might be screwed if your business is also dependent on that.
Right.
Finally, number 7, future tax. They own the intellectual property of everything or anything you create with them. If you come up with an idea with ChatGPT, technically in the terms of service, they own that intellectual property. If you come back and sue them later because ChatGPT releases a massive, update that, or they come out with a product that was the exact thing you were talking about with them, technically you couldn't sue them because they came up with the idea just with you. So they can use it. So they could be selling that off to a company or a partner, a subsidiary, and, stealing your idea if you actually use it. So now the question is, if you had to pick one of the single most dangerous taxes that I just listed for like a 20-year-old or somebody like that, what would it be? I'm going to go through just the names again, just so you're familiar. Privacy tax, economic tax, attention tax, alignment tax, censorship tax, dependency tax, and future tax.
Man, one is a hard selection. I think just out of principle for what I deem as valuable, I'd have to say the privacy tax. But I think you frame the question, you say like for a 20-year-old, I think a close, like honestly, in my eyes would be tied, would also be the economic tax because like that's just wild that, I mean, you talked about how you might have to restate how you phrase those kind of things, but paying for the
Economic is your So privacy is obviously selling your data off to brokers and advertisers. Economic is you're funding the development of the models that will come in and replace jobs in the market.
Yeah, yeah, that's wild too. That's what I was trying to get at is that like you by you paying the monthly subscription and you and your prompts and your ideas making the AI better to a point where it can take potential jobs that you might have had yourself in the market. That's very dangerous for a 20-year-old as you frame the question because 20 is like the age by which you're in college or you're not going to go to college or you're about to finish college um, or you're about to start so that you can set yourself up for a better future. And that the thing that you start studying for today or that you've been studying for a couple of years already might not be on the market for you by the time you exit college. um, Especially white collar things, jobs in finance, jobs in accounting, um, freelancing, any of that. I mean, to a certain degree, you kind of just have to learn. You might just have to learn how to use the AI to do that job better, and then you get paid during this transition period where it's not common knowledge to know how to use the AI to do these things. But once that becomes common knowledge, and employers are like, "Yeah, I've used AI for everything to build my business up to this point. I don't really need somebody to come. I don't need to pay somebody, 60 grand a year to come figure that out for me. I can just do that myself with an AI." Um, I think for a 20-year-old, that's probably one of the hardest spots to be, or one of the hardest things to deal with as far as those seven taxes go.
I don't like the fact that any of these happen, and I understand that capitalism sets us up to a position where if you have all this data, right, and you're already making tons of money off people subscribing to your platform, of course, somebody on the board is going to say, you know what, we could sell this and we could make a lot more money to advertisers and things like that. Every single one of those like benefits that I listed, my honest opinion is it's everybody's fault. Like it is your fault. It's not just like you're sure you could word it, you're being taken advantage of or whatever. You're still using it. And now, especially after tonight's podcast, you guys know about it. So it's completely on you. I'm telling you, like I've used before, the devil's telling you the apple's poison and you're choosing to eat it and you're still choosing to like give your data out. You need to stop. Like you need to pick an AI tool. And I understand, right? You're still trying to compete. You have businesses to start. You have things to do. You're trying to outwork everybody with it. But you need to pick AI systems that aren't doing that because there are other AIs that sure might not be as fast or as good, but your data's safe. At the end of the day, I think that's probably at some point we're going to see a massive leak or a massive hack or a massive release of information or something's going to happen because it always does. And it's going to come back to bite the people that have given their entire life away to ChatGPT. Maybe it's the AI Terminator revolution we're all talking about, where it's like people are saying talk nice to ChatGPT because when the revolution starts, you want it to spare you or whatever. Right. But when what's the Cervicor or whatever from Terminator? What's the company called? Is that what they're called? Cervicor, sure. I think rises up. So again, most of you are sitting there like, okay, genius. Like, okay, well, these are the only 4 models I know. So where do I go find them? Well, my answer would be do your research. But also, I'm going to give you guys the answer. And it's going to sound like a sales pitch. I'm going to preference you guys. I'm going to not preference. I'm going to preface you guys with that. It's going to sound like a sales pitch because it's our tool, but I'm going to explain to you then exactly after why it counters the points I just said, before as the issues. So we created a tool with Altura, which if you guys don't know already, alturasociety.com, ALTURA. Just research it right now. Sign up for a free account. You can network and grow your business and work with other entrepreneurs trying to get, fight back against the system that seems to be so, much against us, or the economy that seems so hard to, persist in. It's a group of people that are sick of like half-assing it, joining like a small LinkedIn or Facebook group and like watching Alex Hormozi videos all day, but getting nothing done. We are focused on execution and results. We came up with an AI tool that, based on my personal experience in, business consulting and things that we've done, Anthony and I's knowledge, we've came up with this tool to help you guys get situated and run your business more efficiently. Basically, it's an AI mentor / executive assistant. It's called Nova. I'll tell you what it is and what it isn't. First of all, what it isn't is selling your information. It is zero trained. It's not using user data, especially your private conversations, to benefit itself, and we're not giving out that information. That is all, confirmed. Hold me accountable to that. This is on device and end-to-end encrypted. So it's using a secure, connection to AI that you guys cannot worry about, right? Us being owned by this massive board, because we are a small company right now. If anything changes, it's going to be because we're either going to be completely transparent in advance, or because you guys are going to vote for it. And you're like, how do you vote? How do you do that stuff? We're going to explain that in a minute, because you guys get to have a direct control over that stuff. Our AI learns your personality, your flaws, and your blind spots in real time. So think of it like a therapist slash mentor slash assistant slash friend, and probably slash executive assistant running your calendar, which is also connected in the same platform. So again, how do you decide where your data goes? Well, the only way to do that is to have a say in what the company's doing with your data, right? You can't control who OpenAI, which is ChatGPT's creator, does with your data. You're not on the board, and I don't believe they're public yet, right? I don't think they're a public company.
No, I've heard rumors that they're going, but they're not there yet.
Not yet, right? So even if you own shares, maybe you own 5 shares, that doesn't mean you can just say whatever ChatGPT is going to do, right? But in this case, we're small, right? We're an AI model that is basically here to protect the leaks of information that will continue to get worse and worse, especially when you can't see the partnerships that are being made with these boards. We all know kind of, corruption is persistent. I'm not saying any of these models are like, evil or anything like that, but I want you guys to be careful and know that you're not at risk. Sure, hacks happen, all this stuff happens, but fundamentally, your data isn't getting sold off the minute it's created like it would in some other platforms. How do you control that? How do you control if your data is released or not? Well, you use what's called alt tokens, and that's our cryptocurrency we're launching at the beginning of this next year here, so right on New Year's Day. This is a utility token, and it is SEC compliant, is focused on not being an investment vehicle. It's not the to-the-moon crypto you guys see all the time. This is a tool that you use to stake inside the platform to get benefits. Basically, you hold on to this cryptocurrency. Now, sure, the value is going to go up as we grow, all that stuff, I'm sure, but you buy it because the utility, the function of this token is to get access to things on the Altura platform. And you show that you are supporting the movement. If you stake your token, which is basically saying, I'm committing to hold on to this token and not just dump it as soon as it changes value, right? I'm committing to hold on to my stake of the token and wait and grow the movement with us, right? Then the utility there is you put it on our website and you say you're going to hold on to it. You kind of lock it away. And then you can get votes for that, where you can decide the future of some of the key decisions we're going to do with Nova, with Altura in general, maybe where our meetups are going to be in real life. You guys will get invites to digital and in-person events in the actual real world. You're going to get access to education. You're going to get access to partnerships and new technologies from companies that we're going to partner with. And then again, this is there's no venture like capital board or anything like that that's deciding. Sure, there's like the Altura team, which is going to execute everything. But, when we put out a vote, it's truly based on how much utility you're willing to stake into the platform, if you're committing yourself to something bigger. And that's why we're how we test compliant for the SEC, and we are not an investment vehicle security, right? We're a utility token. So that's going to release soon. We already have a Discord. If you guys go to alturasociety.com, you'll see a button right in your face on the dashboard. It's purple. It says join Discord. That's the specific side of the community for the crypto. But obviously, we have a live chat on the platform too, if you guys want to just talk business stuff in general. All right. So then the other side is, do you want to explain the membership token side, not the like utility token, not the alt token dollar? So guys, the symbol is $alt. That's going to be the cryptocurrency. But then we have a membership pass. Think kind of like an NFT, like a digital token that you can resell. But can you explain kind of the benefits of that and what it does?
Yeah, the benefits of that would be that a singular purchase of this membership token grants you lifetime access. The difference would be, I guess it's more of a permanent kind of staking of, or I guess just allocation of your money to basically claim you a lifetime access to all the things that Caleb already mentioned that are currently in development. Obviously, we're kind of sounding like we're selling you promises right now, but that's because that's why we're doing a lot of this stuff. Is that every NFT sold, as people come in as well, all of this is going into the development of the educational hub for entrepreneurial education. the real world events, the networking, the all of the pillars that Caleb already mentioned, as that our members once joined get access to. Originally, it was supposed to be, well, it wasn't, not that it was supposed to be, but originally it was just NFTs. So the crypto is actually an added benefit that helps people at a lower price point um, to sort of still get some of the access to some of those benefits. But NFTs themselves, like I said, they represent lifetime access to all of those things, and they represent a solid amount of votes. I believe, I don't remember, I think we've talked about what number of like purchased crypto like alt tokens represents as far as voting goes in the community, but voting for the most part is going to be held. The people with actual NFTs are going to hold in the most sway in the voting that we do. Caleb mentioned already that voting on what small businesses get funded by us, voting on what we end up doing with as far as like major decisions in the community and the ecosystem. The people who have NFTs have the most sway in those voting processes as well. So they represent. It's basically a way for us to get around what everybody else is doing in the industry, which is pay me this one-time fee, and if I decide one day that you don't have access to it, like we talked about with ChatGPT, you just all of a sudden don't have access, and you're not going to get a refund either. The difference with what we're doing with NFTs, and you're represented as your lifetime membership token to the ecosystem and the community, is that one, that means ownership of an NFT means that it's verifiable to your wallet and your wallet specifically and permanently. So you are the only one who holds the rights, and access is granted by means of having the NFT. You're the only one who can use those so long as it's in your wallet, right, in your name. It's not a rented access. You own it forever, so for as long as you want it, I should say. And that also means that later down the line, if you wanted to sell it to somebody else for the same, less, or likely more than what you paid for it, no guarantees there, but that's the idea. You can do that. Once you decide, I would never recommend selling them, obviously, because if you're serious about the space, this is the place to be. This is going to be where it's going to be. We've called it the next Silicon Valley, the digital Silicon Valley, in other conversations we've had as well on our website. But if that's interesting to you at all, I would never sell them. But that gives you the option then to go ahead and say, I've extracted all the value I could from being a part of this community for X amount of years. Let's now turn around and give somebody else the opportunity, because there's only a finite amount of these membership tokens ever to be minted as well. So it's similar in benefits, but it's just more permanent, and it represents your ownership of this permanent access to what it is that Altura is conducting inside the ecosystem.
Good breakdown for everybody there. If you guys, I'm gonna give you the very quick SparkNotes version, just again to reconfirm the big points. 8,888 seats at the table to this community. You can buy your way in monthly, but it's going to be more expensive in the long run when you stack up all the extra benefits you're going to have to pay for. In-person meetups, major cities, New York, Los Angeles, maybe like Dubai, like maybe foreign cities like that too. We're still going to plan it out. That's going to be a voting option. Your NFT gets you access in the door to any event we ever put on. You don't have to pay for it, which again, you would if you were still a paying member. You also get airdropped Altura tokens, the alt tokens, on the day of the release. If you buy your NFT before then, it's usually $400 to buy that lifetime pass. It's $165, over half off until the release of the token, because we want to get most of these sold. Also gives us money to put back into developing Nova, making it stronger, making the platform stronger, helping build this quicker so you guys can see the utility. Anthony mentioned promise, and that we have a lot of promises. We were basically a hope and a prayer a while ago, but now we actually have the platform built. We have the AI tools out there. There's a lot of bugs still, sure, but this is why everything's priced at a massive discount compared to the competitors. You guys get to build this. You get to ride the wave as we grow. And if you ever want to leave, instead of paying, Andrew Tate $50 a month for a year and spending $600, you can pay us $400, and then as we grow the community, maybe you sell it for $1,000 someday as we continue to add benefits. Maybe, I'm not promising returns, but we're going to keep growing the entire time you're holding it too. We're going to do more meetups. We're going to fund more companies. We're going to give Altura tokens to startups. That could be you coming on our podcast here, explaining your idea for like an AI that, fixes your marriage or something like that. I don't know, just a tool. And then we send you Altura tokens because we like the idea, and the community votes yes, using the votes because of your NFTs or because you hold Altura tokens or both, and you approve that person's idea. So you guys get to decide if other people in the community win or lose. And if they do, then everyone wins because that benefit just comes back to you guys. A lot of times, right? Maybe your marriage is broken and you need that AI tool to come back in and save your situation. So, like, let's say you fund an idea, it just comes right back to you guys because we're also partial owners of those companies that we fund with Altura. The Altura name is so. The benefit will come back as a form of utility. Everything is utility. Just think utility, guys. That's what entrepreneurs need. They need a helping hand. They don't need an investment. You're not gonna if you don't have any money to invest, you're not gonna make it out of the hood or out of the trenches, whatever you guys say, by investing the $5.20 you have, whatever it is. You have to actually create a service. You have to create a offering to other people, and to do that, you need your handheld. Everyone does. AI can help you, but that same AI from ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is may sell your data. I'm not saying they do, but I've showed you guys some stats that could show you why that could be a possibility in the future. So we're giving power back to the entrepreneur. There's no corporate overlords. Your data stays yours. The treasury, the Altura community, and the tokens holders and the NFT holders back the next basement unicorn that could be sitting, quite literally in their basement, or like getting on a podcast like this to just talk about something truly revolutionary. So if the big four AIs were built on data extraction, selling your stuff off, for you, Anthony, in one sentence, then, what do you think is, if you could be a run-on sentence too.
Okay.
So if those four companies are built on your data and using your data, in some cases against you, what is Nova's benefit? What is our value?
The value is held in the fact that in a world where your options are a few massive companies that own, first of all, own the rights to whatever it is you develop by using them for your business. Nova essentially is coming in as an option to where it knows more about your business than any of these other ones would, unless you decided to just spend hours programming them to understand what it is you do, why you do it, who's important stakeholders in the process. Nova, in contrast, is like programmed to ask you those kind of things and figure it out on its own just by naturally speaking to you about your business. And so not only does it know you and what your goals and what success looks like for you better in less time than the other, options are in the market right now, it also stays just native to our system. It's not like we're selling this information. This information I couldn't even tell you like how to find that information, to be honest with you, because it's not something that's important to us. What's important to us is that we, as fellow entrepreneurs ourselves, build a space where we're trying to solve the problems that us as entrepreneurs have been facing previously in the past. Trying to figure it out on our own. We're not, I've said this many times in our podcast too, but in full transparency, ourselves as entrepreneurs are just only a couple steps, maybe a few steps ahead of you as a viewer right now who's thinking to yourself, you want to start something. I've not quote unquote made it out the mud myself yet. I still work a day job, and this is what I spend all of my free time trying to develop on the side. But that's what it takes at a certain degree.
That's why it matters, though.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is it's built for people like that are tired of being taken advantage of by the companies that are 100% verifiably taking advantage of you, whether you see it or not. The richest companies in the world are no longer selling automobiles or food or anything like that. They're selling data. You can look up, there's probably, no matter where you live in the United States and maybe even parts of the world, you can probably look up where your own local AI data center is getting put in. I'm in the city I'm in right now. As soon as I moved here, the president granted like $1 billion grant for this city to put one in 5 miles down the road from me. That's the way of the future. And whether it's good for us as the people at the bottom of the totem pole or not, that's what's happening. But back to what I was saying about Nova is the difference is that Nova is a tool that's purely the tool. It's not, there's no catch behind like we're selling the data that you're putting in. You're telling us exactly how your business runs, and then we're actually just going to go start it up ourselves. And also we're just going to use that and we're going to sell that information to massive companies so they can market, social media ad campaigns or something to you so that we can guarantee a sale pretty much. Nova is a tool. It's our main value driver right now, but it's a tool made to help you figure out what blocks in the road you're facing in the development of your business. Why is it that you spend so much time trying to figure out what the next best thing to do is, or what the next best thing to focus your time on is, what the tasks you should be accomplishing are throughout the day? How should I set up my calendar? What should I focus on? And it takes that, and instead it says, I know enough about what it is you're trying to accomplish and how it is you structured your time to say, I think this is the next best strategic area of focus for you. Here are some recommended tasks I think will actually help you move the needle moving forward. When would you like to accomplish them? And then it integrates it straight to our calendar tool, and it says, cool, you've told me now that this is what's important to you. Here's exactly what we're going to do to accomplish it. You don't have to spend time spinning your wheels trying to figure that out anymore. And instead, you can spend what would have been 90% of your time on thinking, and now you're spending that on actually doing, moving the needle. That's why we built Nova. That's its sole purpose. It's, of course, we have a subscription fee because it costs us to be able to develop that, but it's comparable to the same companies that are absolutely using you and know your company worse than ours does. You know what I mean? Than our AI model does, is what I'm trying to say. Um, it's a tool. That's all it is. Whereas other competitors, it's a tool, but it's giving you a distorted version of reality to what its creators want you to start doing and thinking, if that makes sense. And if you don't believe that that's true, I don't know what else to tell you to help you figure that out. But it's today's world is a game of who knows the most about who, and how can I exploit what I know about you to make you spend more money on the things that I also own. Nova is separate from that. Nova is native to our platform. Your information is your information when you use it, and it's built for entrepreneurs like you, like me. I still use it every single day because I have goals that I need to achieve as an entrepreneur. I have goals that I need to achieve to help develop Altura. A lot of massive things coming, and I'd be stupid to not use AI in some capacity because it thinks a lot faster and more in depth than I ever could. That's why everybody's using it. But you have to be cognizant and at least understand what it is you're partaking in if you're going to partake, and know that there are options like Nova that offer better, in my opinion, benefits with none of the risk of using somebody else's platform. So that was definitely at least a run-on paragraph or two.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a run-on sentence.
Yeah, that was definitely a paragraph, but I felt like I needed to say it all.
I will give you guys a disclaimer too. We do use a little bit, like we're kind of like a Frankenstein monster, like a bunch of different AI tools with our own programming on top. Because obviously I don't have $1 billion to go jump in and like build my own tool from scratch. So we're using some elements still of the major AIs that I listed. But we're also not like, every conversation that happens is kept in our spot too. So we are personally not selling anything like that. And the goal obviously then is to, over time, then just like ship a Theseus, right? Start like replacing parts and building, eventually turn it into our own full functioning system that is owned by, the members, and voted on by the members and things like that. So yeah. For the kid listening in their like bedroom or like freezing on their, patio like I am right now in Colorado, why should they bet on Nova and the alt token, for instance, versus another subscription for $20 to the big four?
Why should you? Well, I feel like I just spent a lot of time explaining why you should for Nova.
Just give one sentence. What's your answer if you had to give the one reason?
Because it's built for you. It's, as an entrepreneur, everything that we've established as far as the utility behind the alt token in the community, and everything that Nova is and does was built with, not you personally, but you as an entrepreneur in mind. Because entrepreneurs are all alike, and that's why they have their own title, right? There's certain, like, you think about things a certain way. You look around and you see opportunity. You see what it took to put that thing in place. You don't just see the thing itself like what most people do.
Yeah.
That's why you say take a risk. It's not really, heck, you could go to Starbucks twice this week and spend more than what we charge for a monthly subscription access to it. which is also part of why we do it. And the difference is that you mentioned earlier in the podcast that the reason ChatGPT doesn't charge more is because they make more money off the data. The reason we don't charge more is because, first of all, a lot of what we do is in beta development, but it's built for you. It's built for literally whoever's watching this, because if you're watching this, I assume you're an entrepreneur. You're somebody who's trying to understand more about the world, understand more about finance, how you can set yourself up for a brighter future. It was built for you in mind. The builder who's, as Caleb's been saying, either in your basement, somewhere that's not a penthouse in Dubai or Miami. You're trying to get there, right? You use Nova, you take advantage of the utility behind the alt token because it's built for you. It makes the most sense with what it is you're trying to accomplish, and we can confidently say that because we are the same person. Not personally, I'm saying as an entrepreneur, that's exactly what we do. And we know what it takes, and we know what was helpful and what's not.
My paragraph answer is probably like it's about truth. I think that first of all, I'm freezing. That's true, but I think that everybody's hero in some ways isn't as much of a hero as you think. Sure, Iman Gadzhi, right, built a lot. He built an empire. His parents actually did have money, even though he tells the story of being completely broke and all that stuff. He's a great guy. Like these billionaire founders, like Elon Musk's dad had a lot of money. He, I think he owned like a cobalt mine or something like that in South Africa. I can't remember what it was. Same with like Peter Thiel, like all these big people that are billionaires. They didn't just like start with like 5 pennies, like most of us are. And if you hear otherwise, just know that they got help. I got help, guys. Like my father helped. He bought quite a few of the like NFTs to start, get the ball rolling, make sure like could even keep this thing alive. Like everybody needs help, and the important thing is you should know where you're getting your help from. If somebody's reaching out a hand, but in their other hand behind their back is a knife, do you really want help from that person? Do you really want help from the person that's clearly has ulterior motives? I find happiness in building something. It doesn't have to be great, and I think hopefully by not having it to be great, it will be great, because then it's truly something that we're just trying to make as much money as possible. We're just trying to get your data out there and find a way to like profit as quick as we can. No, like my happiness, my success with this business in particular, guys, is can we truly create something that people can feel like is a safe space for them, which is Altura, and then provides value that isn't going to give away their privacy like every other single tool on the internet. And I guarantee in the next 10 years, when Amazon's palm reading, your hand to scan and purchase stuff, and your eyes are being scanned, and your passport, your digital ID, right, your real ID, all this stuff that you're giving up for your privacy. I would hope that you guys look to Altura and our community ran voting and decisions as a way out, like a way to get back control in your life. And if you want to make it, you're going to start needing to look at what's in the other hand, what's behind people's backs. And I'm here, like both hands clearly out. I've been honest about everything. I told you all the disclaimers, right? We're not just a to the moon token. I'm not expecting it to blow up immediately. If you guys see the long-term potential, if you want to invest in it, I'm obviously giving you a way cheaper price than it will ever be. I hope you see that. I'm not going to like push it in your face anymore. My action is go to alturasociety.com and just check it out. There's a lot of bugs still. It's not perfect, but I want to make it perfect by getting your help. Build it. Help us build it. And take pride in the fact that there's a space that you're invited to. That isn't just asking for money. You can join for free and chat with people, and I hope you do. But if you have any questions, I will also be in there too. I'd love to meet you guys. I built this because I'm an introvert kind of guy naturally. I like kind of like my solitude, but I'll interact as much as I feel like I have to, or when I feel like I have to step up and say things. But I didn't want to go out and like go to all these meetup events in the world. So I'm like, what if we built a space that people can just come to? And if you want to talk to somebody, start up a conversation right there. You already know they're dedicated, but you don't have to like force myself to uncomfortably get in a car and drive to like a meetup spot, right? Which we will have that, right, at some point, the real world meetups. But I want people to be able to, you shouldn't have to be in a syndicate of elite families to win nowadays. Like you see more and more happening. you should be able to have access to the same people that can help make you great without having to sell a kidney, like, or without having to say your last name is X or Z or whatever it is. Just join, try it out. I'm not asking anything of you guys. If you don't like it, I'd love to know why, but hopefully you guys can see that we're coming, as honest as possible. And as Nova launches, as it gets better, we will start to compete. We will start to pull users from Grok and ChatGPT and Claude because people are going to start to really understand why their privacy is at risk. We're playing the long game here, and I hope you guys see that too. I hope you make the switch before these massive companies get hacked more and more and your data gets leaked or sold, or if you feel any sort of invasion of privacy, I think this is a good switch for you, and I'd love to see you inside. The AI arms race isn't over. The power race and the control race really just started. So take it back for yourself. It starts with you. My final word is ascend, make yourself better. That was our previous name. And reach Altura, which is a new altitude. That's what it means. Find the people, the resources that'll put you there. What else do you got, Anthony, before we close up finally?
It's free to check it out. I say this every podcast, but I mean, dude, the worst that could happen is you don't like the website and you just don't use it. I mean, if you took the time to check out this podcast, take an extra 5 seconds, go check out the website, alturasociety.com. You can see the roadmap for everything we have planned to be built out. You can check out Nova, which is our main value driver right now. And yeah, there's live chat functions. We have a Discord. I mean, we're doing everything we can to like put this in front of as many eyes, as possible. Do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Let's get connected. I mean, the possibilities for how we can develop are endless at this point. So,
and there's a million ways you guys can win too, right? You don't even have to start a business. You could just buy alt, right? And that could be your passion. You could just be the crypto guy that likes holding onto a cool utility token and using it on the platform. Get access to stuff. Obviously, right, as attention comes in, as we use the alt token to provide more value to our community, people are going to start talking about it. They're going to tell their friends, their family. People are going to come in and buy the alt token, and it's just going to help make the community better and add more benefit back to you guys. We can fund more companies. We're going to get headlined in the news probably at some point because of this cool stuff we're actually doing that you guys get to be a role of. And by the time your friends hear about it, or the people that you get to go on the weekends and work on that startup you're trying to do with, or just the buddies you're texting, and they're like, oh, this sick idea for this company, Altura. Have you heard of it? And you could say, I'm already in it. I was one of the people that made it great. And that is the true flex, because you got to be early to something instead of having the private invite from, being the Rockefeller, or whoever, you were supposed to be. This is a true origin story that you get to play a role in, and I hope you guys do. Have a great rest of your night. I'm going to warm up and get some dinner, but I'll be back on Wednesday. Try to, podcast one more time before the holidays. It'll be short, but we'll try to cover a different topic. So take care, guys.
Take care.